the best of the best players from each week prior, and a $1,000 prize pool supplied by BMG themselves. Technically, this tournament was open to every region, but it was completely dominated by NA and EU. After all, it was hosted on the US servers. South America was left unattended to. Forgotten, in a way. Their scene was too small for Brawlhalla to hedge the already risky esports bet on them, too. But the players made up for their lack of numbers with pure, authentic passion. While Kroots was disconnected from the official tournament scene geographically, he made sure to stay connected via the community. At the time, the Brawlhalla subreddit was the primary place of contact. It worked very, very differently from today. You'd throw up a post saying, "I hit platinum, I hit diamond," and then you'd be flooded with the core members of the community congratulating you, remarking on how they queued into you and how well you played to get there. You'd see Daiku, you'd see Milo, and Krootsberg was one of those core members. Milo, and Krootsberg was one of those core members. User Sojiroshi posted a Hattori montage, and Kroots was right there in the comments. The stairway to heaven is there again. I said it, man. This was the golden age of anyone and everyone creating Brawlhalla montages, and a big reason why was the direct support from the community. On player Zoro's video, Krootsberg again. This music, those plays, so good. And on Fadden's, godlike edit. He'd encourage artists in the community to keep posting. Good stuff, I got this, Thatch hype. And he'd encourage the rest of the scene to remain positive and combat toxicity wherever they could. We don't need enemies when we can just make friends. Plus, we must keep in mind that we are all here for one purpose: to have fun. Well then, isn't it a better idea to spread good attitude so it can turn back to us? Yeah, totally. Beyond supportive words, Krootsberg also supported the growth of the game. Part of the reason Brawlhalla developed the way it did was from his contributions. An in-depth look at how the throw nerf affected each weapon saw Kroots recommending weapon throw stun be changed based on distance traveled, which ended up making it into the game. Quality of life features, you tell us, a post from the Brawlhalla devs themselves. Krootsberg is in the comments requesting a feature that still has yet to be added. The BMG please. And in a separate post, asked for info about who was the winner-loser in replays. Clearly, Krootsberg cared a lot about the game, about bolstering the resources that can help you improve, and about spreading positivity throughout the community. I do want to say, these contributions and attitudes extended beyond Kroots. Skroyan and Milo too were famous for being kind-hearted and passionate members of the community. In doing research for this video, I found one of Skroyan's old montage uploads. It's a standard video, but scroll down into the comments and she's replying to every single person that
of an evil, a shadow that devours your soul, rising from the field that was one with all, raising the halls of the mountain, to grant them a home he was born. If demon ruled born, he was destiny son from the north, the seas unknown. Devious, they say he's returned.
comments, and she's replying to every single person that asked a question or wrote a reaction. And check this one out. Valfar the Dragon Knight. Skroyen's full concept for a legend and brand new weapon, Greatsword, over 4 years before Greatsword got added into the game. I mean, just look at how much work she put into this. There's attack outlines, poses, and animation suggestions drawn by community member Chewy Qwerty, a lore section, a feedback document, and a full breakdown in Google Docs. And Milo is also right there in the comments. This is so well done. I have no words to describe how awesome this concept is. This unyielding support went extra for their own community. Since Brawlhalla wasn't running $1,000 tournaments for them, Skroyen and Kreutzberg took it into their own hands. The time has come for the first really big South American 1v1 tournament. We have talented players in the South America region, and for the ones that are curious, this will be a good opportunity to see how the competitive scene is going in our server. I hope you all have fun and enjoy playing and watching. The comments summed up the general community consensus pretty well. It was a surprise, but nonetheless people were excited. I didn't know that Brazil has tournaments. Just hit platinum today, but I think I'm gonna try. Cool beans, I'm all signed up and ready to suck. Of course, Kreutzberg endorsed it himself too by saying it's time to see some of the most skilled South American players in action. We have veterans from closed beta and promising newcomers. This will definitely be good. And I'll be there. Brawlhalla number 3 would live up to its promise and feature a staggering 116 players, unheard of for South America at the time. Kreutz, of course, was the number 1 seed and tore through the entire bracket. 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, and a 2-1 over fellow Excalibur member Ace to enter winner semifinals. 2-0 over rival clan Def's representative Pepe Lagali for winners finals, where he was set to face Excalibur's Doritos Boy. Doritos Boy was the winner of the previous Brawlhalla tournaments, and a long legacied player that would go on to be a top South American threat for years. Kreutz. Well, Kreutz swiftly defeated him 3-0, and with this he made it to grand finals where he'd face I'm Magical and cleanly 3-0 them as well. Don't be mistaken, Kreutzberg was a very kind and supportive community member, but if you faced him in bracket, you best be afraid. He was an absolute monster and crushed his entire region in their biggest tournament to date. So let's back up a second once again and reacclimate ourselves with what we know. Kreutzberg was one of the earliest Brawlhalla pros who, despite external circumstances holding him back, still strived to improve himself and bring up his own community. He offered key insights into how the game could be improved, and helped train the newest generation of South American players, while also completely destroying them when the time called for it. Kreutzberg had a dream to build up the Brawlhalla scene, and more specifically, to build up South America. He wanted nothing more than for them to be taken seriously, and maybe eventually even win the World Championships itself. He knew they were far away from the juggernauts that were NA and EU, but with enough hard work, enough effort, enough positive encouragement, perhaps that dream would one day come true. Little did Kreutz know, that dream was about to be closer than ever. Kreutzberg yearned to attend BCX, but much like Final Round earlier in the year, LAN was simply not an option. But when Foda, a man famous for his support of South America, was hired as Brawlhalla's first ever esports director, the chance started to appear. On a Reddit AMA, Kreutzberg asked Foda, "Do you know if players from Brazil will be invited for the upcoming Brawlhalla World Championships? If yes, do you have any idea of how many? Thanks." To which Foda responded, "Not confirmed, but I think at least one player will come from Brazil region and SEA. It wouldn't be a world championship without the best players from all over the world." This gave Kreutz some hope, which would soon be answered. Because of the success of that Brawlhalla Championship series earlier in the year, and Foda now at the esports helm, Brawlhalla surprise dropped an announcement for a new iteration of the Brawlhalla Championship series. This BCS, it was called, would run for 21 weeks starting in June and concluding with BCX in November. The majority of these tournaments would be alternating North America and Europe 1v1 and 2v2, but 6 special tournaments were reserved for each of the 6 regions. These were the regional qualifiers, that thing Foda hinted at before. The winners of these regional qualifiers would be flown out and housed at BCX for free, while also being granted unique VIP access to the event. Suddenly, Kreutz's dream seemed like it could come true. Brazilian Brawlhalla and South American Brawlhalla at large was still a big mystery to the rest of the scene. Most players had never even watched a South American player, much less a full tournament. The general skill level was unknown, and most importantly, the skill level of the best player was 2. And that's a big deal because the best player would now be guaranteed a spot at Worlds. The date for South America's regional qualifier was set, August 6, 2016, just a few months before Worlds was set to take place. That would be Kreutzberg's first time truly in the spotlight. It was going to be the highest pressure moment of his career. Would he snatch it, or would he crumble in the heat of the moment? Kreutz had some time to prepare. He knew his rivals were improving quickly and needed to step up himself. With the release of Barraza, Kreutzberg swapped off his signature Lucian and locked in this more stable pick. Barraza's greater defense meant Kreutz could afford to make 1 or 2 more mistakes per stock, and for someone whose gameplay style was centered around making as few mistakes as possible, this seemed like a perfect fit. But the change wasn't purely positive, as it meant he also had to learn a brand new weapon: the Axe. Axe is almost the polar opposite of Katars, Lucian's alternate option, as Katars thrive on quick low damage hits, and Axe is all about the big swings. South America's qualifier was 7 weeks away, and while 7 weeks may seem like a lot, the time quickly catches up when you realize you can't just get better. That's not enough. You need to get better faster. Then everyone else gets better. But Kreutzberg remained excited. It seemed like the pressure wasn't affecting him at all. After the first week of BCS, Kreutz commented on the summary post: "This is so exciting. I can't wait for Brazil qualifiers. I'll do my best to get a place for BCX." Perhaps that attitude is what helped circumvent the nerves of playing with your ticket on the line, as August rolled around and Kreutzberg began his tear through the South American regional qualifier bracket. With a 2-0 against Vispo to start his run, Kreutz found himself face to face with Skroyen in the next round. An Excalibur team kill and a matchup of titans, this would set the stage for the rest of his tournament run. An opponent of Skroyen's caliber this early only spoke to the intense development of the South American scene over the past 8 months. And lucky for the rest of us, it would also be the first time Kreutz ever appeared on an official tournament stream. The match started off with Skroyen locking in her trusty Orion and Kreutz on Diana. That may sound surprising for the Barraza discussion we had earlier, but it seemed like he was saving that legend for when it mattered most. Plus, the slower axe against Skroyen's methodical playstyle would perhaps not fare very well. Bow was a newer weapon release, so against someone as careful as Skroyen, perhaps she had not adjusted to the spacing required to combat it, and Kreutz would be able to sneak in a hit in a critical moment. This would prove to be a battle of patience. Who would blink first? As 30 seconds into the match went by with barely any hits on either side, and over 2 full minutes before Kreutz was able to take the first stock. This set really demonstrated and exemplified these new chase dodge mechanics, where with enough momentum, you were able to charge an opponent with an invincible approach option. Unlike modern Brawlhalla that has dashes and its chase dodges only happen after hitting an opponent, you could do these at any time. Most players use the chase dodge to close the distance with their opponent, but these two demonstrated how it could be utilized for the opposite, putting distance between the two and adjusting ever so slightly to secure your one crucial hit. The clock ticked down to 2 minutes left, with Kreutz noticeably behind Skroyen. A huge side sig almost knocked out Kreutzberg, but 5 unanswered hits and the match was now in his control. With 20 seconds left before going to sudden death, and Skroyen trying her best to stall just to reset and make it even again, Kreutzberg went for a risky, uncharacteristic offstage push, going for 2 bow reads and landing the second one to secure game number 1 with just 13 seconds remaining on the clock. That was the critical moment. Skroyen made one small mistake in Bow's timing because it was a newer weapon, and Kreutz seized the opportunity. Skroyen swapped over to Bryn for game number 2, with much of the same brand of gameplay from these two players. 2 minutes in before Kreutz took the first stock, and the patience from these players extended the set well beyond your typical gameplay. By the last stock KO scenario, both Kreutz and Skroyen had effectively played 4 games worth of time. But a quick side sig wake up against Skroyen's attempt to combo extend secured game number 2 and the set for Kreutzberg. After that gauntlet that felt way more intense than a simple 2-0, he would now move on to top 16 to face Hattori player Creeds. Kreutz locked in Azov.
What?
Merging his Barraza experience with the Diana in the previous set, and shockingly foregoing his signature blasters to beat this rival clan member. Once again, it was a slower paced game than North American and European fans were accustomed to. While much of this first game showed Kreutz spacing out Creeds with his bow, it was the axe and likely the confidence gained from practicing Barraza that secured him game number 1. Creeds swapped over to Asuri, thinking the quick hitting guitars would be able to get into Azov's range, and this proved to be the correct pick. Creeds completely overwhelmed Kreutzberg and began running away with the game. Down to his final stock, Kreutzberg locked in to his infamous clutch mode, landing blow after blow after blow. But the lead was just ever so slightly too far in Creed's favor, and a downward movement read allowed Creeds to win game 2. This was Kreutzberg's first loss in the tournament, and perhaps the wake-up call he needed to truly awaken. Game 2 was close, with just 4 damage separating the two players, and while I'm sure he hoped he could have kept the Barraza a secret for longer, Kreutzberg did not want to take the risk. Playstyle and personality perhaps aligned in that way. Game 3 began, and the audience got their first glimpse of Kreutzberg's true pick, Barraza. If his Azov was able to duke it out evenly, his Barraza should surely take this without worry. And that's exactly what happened. His blasters went on an absolute tear, bringing Creeds to KO % before long, and made it trivial for his axe to clean it up. Barraza's high defense allowed Kreutzberg to survive some would-be knockouts and extend his stock for another full minute, bringing Creeds to the orange. After which, it was business as usual, and Kreutzberg took the game and the set barely damaged on his final stock. Creeds did show some comeback potential with a reversal attempt off stage, but Kreutzberg's careful movement would not allow him to fall for such a trick, and he was moving on to top 8 on the winner's side. There he would find none other than Milo2391, and this time he was not playing around. Kreutz selected Barraza immediately for game 1, and despite Milo actually securing the first knockout of the game and landing a bunch of damage afterwards, it didn't take long for Kreutz to adapt. He not only took Milo's first stock back, he lapped him in damage and secured the second one. By the time the clock ticked down to 3 minutes, Milo was 1 hit away and Kreutz was sitting comfortably on his last stock. A late frame ground pound interrupted Milo's chase dodge attempt back on stage, and game 1 went to Kreutz. Game 2 went much the same. Milo took the first stock, got a ton of damage, but Kreutz slowly chipped away at the lead and stole the stock advantage back. Milo visibly frustrated at this point, and understandably so, as each of his attempts to approach Kreutz were entirely stuffed out by his axe, only landed 1 hit and a weapon toss before charging up a signature and just accepting his fate. Kreutzberg had beaten Milo mentally, and it appeared he had given up. But can you even blame him? Not really. Take a look at how crazy Brawlhalla's vertical spacing and escape game was at the time. Kreutzberg attempted to break neutral with a side sig. Milo's spacing was just barely off, and within half a second, Kreutz was at the top of the screen. When I tell you it was like a different game entirely, you see what I mean. Brawlhalla was very dope. As was Kreutzberg's path to winning this esteemed ticket to Worlds, as fellow Excalibur member Kotsuo was waiting for him in winners finals. Once again, Kreutz started off with Barraza, and his axe showed its worth. Less than a minute, and Kotsuo's first stock was gone. Kreutz's fastest performance thus far. Hit after hit after hit, and Kotsuo was now in KO percent again. Going for a risky read on Kreutzberg's inward movement, Kotsuo attempted a chase dodge downlight, which would have a ton of invincibility frames and completely stuff out any of Kreutz's options. That is, unless Kreutz went for a signature, which would be the only move to counter the invincibility directly. Again, a very different Brawlhalla with invincible attacks and high-risk signature counters. There was a rock, paper, scissors element to the attack options, and Kreutz guessed correctly here. His blasters were dominant in the second half of the match, and a downsig read KO'd Kotsuo in orange to win game 1. What's most surprising is the damage was nearly even between the two players, but Kreutz had a full stock lead, indicating his crazy ability to hold onto his lives. Game 2 played out much the same way, with Kreutzberg alternating between axe and blasters to wall out Kotsuo, and land some key reads to secure the match. Normally this would be the end of the set, but as the tournament had reached winners finals now, Kreutz would still have to win one more game. And Kotsuo was not going down without a fight. The Game 3 Koji swap seemed desperate to some, but with Bo's quick aerial attacks and its ability to get into the diagonal angles that blasters tend to struggle against, Kotsuo actually took the first stock. This game was more even than ever before, and Kotsuo knew he had to take a risk if he wanted to win. Reading Kreutz's landing instead of stopping on the platform or throwing out a counterattack, Kotsuo went for an all-or-nothing downlight and got it, taking Kreutz's second stock and his first big lead in the entire set. It seemed like Kreutzberg just didn't have an answer to Kotsuo's bow. The very reason why it may have been so effective against Stroyan appeared to also give Kreutz the same trouble. Yes, the weapon had been out since late 2015, but Gauntlets had taken the spotlight completely, as June's drop of Core led many to flock to the newest shiny object and forego bow entirely. Kreutz did not have a full year of practice against it like he did the original set of weapons. Or perhaps he did and Kotsuo was just that proficient. Regardless, the blasters were helpless against Kotsuo's bow, and Game 3 went in favor of the Koji.
Hobbies! You got today that, my friend.
I am naked. Can I please have a base when you're done? Mr. Trader?
Mr. Gino. Wow.
Can maybe I have a base when you have looted everything? I can suck a dick.
With all the momentum on his side, Kreutz, needless to say, was not pleased. His actions blasters seemed completely countered by Bo's diagonals. So, for Game 4, his selection changed to Brink. Maybe it was her higher speed, maybe just a rush of adrenaline after losing the previous game, but Kreutz started this game on fire. 6 axe hits in a row chopped up Kotsuo's first stock, and it looked like the king was back. Kotsuo rebutted with a bow 3-piece, but Kreutzberg's vertical spacing was immaculate, and he took Kotsuo down to his final stock before even losing his first. At this point, Kreutz was dialed in. Whether it was a stylistic change, a burst of confidence, or just complete player adaptation, Kreutzberg appeared unstoppable. Kotsuo found himself in the orange on his final stock before finally securing Kreutzberg first. And all it took was a few hits and a ground pound read for Kreutz to move on to the grand finals of the South American Regional Qualifier. Kreutzberg's opponent was on a run of his own. Noe fell to Kotsuo 2-0 earlier in bracket and began a loser's bracket tear. He won 5 sets in a row, including a 2-0 over Milo and the revenge 3-1 over Kotsuo himself. Now, this core main would face his greatest challenge yet, but the feeling was mutual. I briefly mentioned core earlier, but now is really the time to explain just how insane gauntlets were in its early state. Where most weapons excelled in the vertical game and loved to keep you pinned down below, gauntlets were the only weapon that could actually send you downward from nearly any position. The neutral air grabbed you from above to send you down. The side air punched you horizontally and sent you down. And the down air, if you can believe it, sent you down. This, paired with a rapid steering ground pound and efficient combo tools,
Mr. Raider, please.
made the weapon a complete menace to fight, so much so that Bo mostly fell out of favor despite its fluid movement and solid game plan. However, those strengths were also a curse. Because gauntlets were so different from everything else, it took a particular type of player, a new approach to the game, in order for them to reach their maximum potential. It's not a surprise that Noe was the only one to reach these heights yet. The weapon came out less than 2 months ago. Kreutzberg's style would have to change once again. Locking in Bo himself, believing in its ability to outspeed gauntlets, Kreutz brought back his Azoth for game number 1 of Grand Finals. But Noe did something nobody expected. He tried to counter the counter pick. Cassidy was Noe's legend of choice, and this was a huge mistake. Kroots had beaten Milo, the hammer expert, earlier in this tournament, and nobody knew blasters better than Kroots. Game 1 was mostly a stomp, and Kroots was now just 2 matches away from reaching his dream. Kroots locked in Bryn immediately, anticipating the core swap, and Noe answered his call. It took Noe some time to actually find the gauntlets, but upon equipping them, it was just 2 janky ground pounds and Kroots' first stock was gone. Noe started running away with the game, and by the time the clock reached 4 minutes, Kroots was orange on his last stock. He had no answers. Noe was locked in. And no matter what Kroots tried, he could not find a solution against these gauntlets. Kroots tried clawing his way back, with shades of his match against Tybo beginning to shine through. But this time, it wasn't enough. Noe found a hammer nair to send the Bryn flying, and now with the set even, Kroots was at a crossroads. Azoth was not going to do it. He knew as much, and his spear proficiency was simply not at the level to beat Noe's gauntlets. Kroots needed something. He needed to change something fundamental. Noe was a complete player counter, and Krootsberg had no certain path forward. What was a player that had cemented his entire legacy on certainty, on running down the clock until he could secure his one hit, on taking as few risks as humanly possible? What was a player like that supposed to do? With his dream within reach, Krootsberg took a risk. The Barraza that had gotten him this far was going to be his pick to bring him to the finish line no matter what. Yes, gauntlets had a great matchup into blasters on paper, and yes, Noe was already destroying him with gauntlets, and this would give him even more chances. But if Kroots could forget about this dream for just a second, forget about the overwhelming pressure he must have been feeling here, sitting finally in grand finals in the biggest match of his career against an opponent he had no answer against. If he could do that, if he could believe not in any matchup chart or any theoretical win condition, but instead in himself, maybe it was possible. In this moment, most important in his career, perhaps he could remember his own words. We must keep in mind that we are all here for one purpose: to have fun.
No indication where we saw that sleep.
With this,
down, tickles his beard just a little bit.
Krootsberg, trying to stuff out Noe's recovery, jumped ever so slightly too high and activated the mine on the platform rather than sending it through, and launched himself to the top of the map. For a player so methodical, so careful to make that kind of mistake, to take that risk in the first place, you would think it's over. The game plan is gone, their mental is shattered, but for Krootsberg, it was somehow the opposite. This is what he needed, maybe the only thing that he needed. Picking up a mine in grand finals against his biggest counter yet and duffing the play completely, Krootsberg was not playing for a ticket. He was not playing for his VIP status, his dream for South America to one day win in Worlds. He was playing for fun. Krootsberg picked up another mine immediately after and baited Noe into a panic chase dodge to avoid any kind of knockout move. But this setup was carefully crafted and Noe ended up dodging into the mine itself. Despite Krootsberg's huge mistake, The game was now fully evened up. Blow after blow after blow, Krutz and Noe kept trading. Both players held on to their second stocks for what felt like ages, with Noe getting it first off an unarmed neutral air. But on-stage ground pound from Krutz evened it back up, and the game was reset. Last stock. And here, Noe's hammer finally awakened, and Krutz found himself way behind. If we know one thing about Krutz though, it's that he never backs down. Grabbing himself his trusty blasters, the weapon he kept close for years, he brought himself back into the game. They were reaching the final clutch moments, the moments where Kreutzberg thrives. He's going to let the clock tick down. He's going to wait you out. That must be what Noe was ready for. Kreutzberg began taking the game into his own hands, walling out Noe with the blasters and immediately evading Noe's mine. He was playing high risk, sitting right next to this active explosive while knowing all it would take is one hit from Noe to launch him into it and go down another game. But Krutz stuffed out every option, tracked Noe down, and guaranteed himself an axe side air to go up 2-1. The last minute of this game was entirely in Kreutzberg's control, and now there was only one game left between him and Worlds. And this is where something weird happened. Maybe the pressure of the moment, a complete switch in mentality that Kreutzberg appeared to present, the last stretch of gameplay that left him feeling hopeless. Whatever it was, Noe decided against the core. Krutz took this opportunity like he's never taken anything before. Blasters v Blasters went in Krutz's favor to give him a slight edge, and Axe Recovery got him the first stock. Now the wall began, and Kreutzberg's Blasters once again proved their clutch factor. Noe, the player that not 10 minutes ago made Kreutzberg look hopeless, forced him to soul search, was now doing some searching of his own. Kreutzberg was like a new player, reading Noe's invincible chase dodge approach and countering with a barrage of blasters and sig. He was now one stock away from Worlds, and with a full life lead, nothing was going to get in his way again. After building up a ludicrous amount of damage on Noe's last stock, slipping underneath the rising side platform to counter Noe's chase dodge approach once again, and dealing 631 damage in the match, it was Axe Downlight that got Kreutzberg the final KO of the tournament. Kreutzberg had done it. He had proven himself as the best in South America. Even when seemingly countered completely, he dug his heels in and pushed his level even further. It took breaking down his own barriers, questioning the very style that had gotten him this far in the first place. But he won. Krutz won his entry into Worlds and was ready to once again put his region on his back. So let's zoom out for just a moment and examine what exactly unfolded in this region. Most obviously, the top 3 of the qualifier were all members of Excalibur, a testament to how impactful the training of these players was. Kreutzberg, of course, being the torchbearer for them all. It was almost like the golden days of Joe. Excalibur had no insignificant part in developing the South American scene from the ground up, and through their camaraderie created a monster of a clan. But even players outside of Excalibur were rallying behind Krutz. I loved attending the qualifier. Unfortunately, I couldn't pass the semifinals, but a great friend will represent us. Congratulations, Krutz, we are with you. It seemed impossible to hate Kreutzberg. His method of playing, now seen by the rest of the world, was certainly unpopular. But with a community behind him with such unyielding support, one he helped build from scratch, you couldn't help but root for him. Plus, he probably sent a nice message supporting you at some point too. The rest of the world was now hotly anticipating how Kreutzberg would perform against their own top players. After all, he had proven himself capable in the past with atrocious lag, and he just proved his ability to adapt in the most important moments. How was BCX going to pan out? How would he do against the other regions? How about we explore those other regions for just a moment then, to get a sense of the scene. Specifically, the other 5 regional qualifiers. The list was composed of LDZ from US West, Eggsoup from US East, that's me, Maltima. LDZ from US West, Eggsoup from US East, that's me, Maltimum from EU, Tiger from SEA, and finally Kyler Alice from Australia. That's a lot of names, but the important ones right now are Tiger and Kyler Alice, as they were in a nearly identical situation to Kreutzberg. They were both from smaller regions, both soared above their fellow competitors, and both seemed to be around the same level as NA and EU, but without a chance to prove it.
They were easily the biggest wild cards coming into this. There were plenty of people predicting both ways, that, oh, they'd be really strong, or oh, they'd be really weak. Because you can't really tell. It's not like they'd really fought any of the NA players. Closest we'd gotten to that was, Eggsoup went over to SEA for a couple weeks for vacation and fought Tiger.
Okay, I actually totally forgot about this before researching this video, but that's true. I was visiting my grandma for a couple weeks, and because of that, I could play against Tiger on the SEA servers, and that was the first and I believe only time anyone from NA or EU really competed against a member of this trio. So I actually have a little unique insight here. As you now know, these players were a mystery to the whole scene, so after playing against Tiger, I could report back, yeah, he is amazing. He is a phenomenal player, and definitely someone you won't want to face in bracket. It's a tiny little foreshadowing there. Fun fact, he actually helped me warm up on the first day of BCX as well. I finally got to meet him in person, so shout out Tiger. Thanks for playing with me. Alright, back to the video. Fans were excited to see LDZ compete against Daiku on even ground, the big names, of course. But the even bigger question mark was these 3 players. Tiger, Kyler Alice, Kreutzberg. Everyone wanted to see them. Everyone wanted to find out just how good they really were.
That was one of the biggest questions, arguably, before going into BCX, is are they really that good?
They spearheaded one of the most hype narratives going into the event. Like Foda said, it wouldn't be a world championship without the best players from all around the world. And the decision to include these regional qualifiers in the event paid off more than anyone ever could have expected. At Worlds that November, Kyler Alice, the Australian representative, went on a loser's bracket tear and took the eventual 2v2 champion Daiku to last game, last stock, last hit, in one of the most hype sets of the entire tournament.
Probably one of the most intense 1v1s I've seen in a long time. Everyone not knowing who to root for.
I mean, it came down to the last hit. Game 3, last stock, red health, and Kyler Alice made one small ground pound mistake, and that killed him. But Kyler Alice could have taken out Daiku.
He ended in 9th place, a fantastic showing for the World Championships. Tiger from SEA made it all the way to winner side of top 16, falling only to Maltimum and Eggsoup, and also earning a 9th place finish. The rest of the regional qualifiers too performed incredibly. I, as the US East qualifier, ended in 4th. Maltimum, the EU qualifier, got 2nd. And LDZ, US West representative, won the entire thing with a commanding 1st place championship. The regional qualifiers tore up the bracket, taking name after name after name to end up at the very top of the podium. But one player from that group was missing. The only qualifier that was not broadcast on stream. The only one whose gameplay was still a mystery. Where in the world was Kreutzberg? Well, he didn't appear to be there on day 0 when all the other players landed in Atlanta, met up with each other, and got accustomed to the hotel and venue. He didn't appear to be there on day 1 either when the 1v1 and 2v2 brackets were officially starting. This was do or die, truly, and nobody had heard from him directly. The brackets began with the pools phase in the morning. Basically, there were enough competitors to where they would have to split play into separate phases of players. First up were pools A1, A2, and A3, which would happen simultaneously. The number 1 seed LDZ was in pool A1, for example. As a regional qualifier, Kreutzberg was one of the top seeds, meaning he was slated to play in Pool B1, the second phase of the day. But as the A pools wrapped up, he was still nowhere to be found. If Kreutzberg was somehow hiding somewhere in the venue, nobody could really get into contact with him. The hope was that he was simply in another country without data or service and he couldn't message anyone. Perhaps a small language barrier meant he wasn't fully aware of the time he was supposed to play. That was the hope. The fear was that for some reason, the beloved South American qualifier was not making it to Worlds. This remained a mystery as the day progressed, with his bracket being delayed as long as feasible. After all, a regional qualifier getting disqualified would be a terrible turn of events for Brawlhalla and for the fans. But eventually, some internet detectives were able to find some information. You see, the bracket started on Saturday morning. Ideally, you would land at the event on Thursday or Friday, as you were supposed to check in the day before the tournament. But one user on the Brawlhalla subreddit posted a photo at the airport saying they missed their morning flight and still hoped to make it before that check-in. And lo and behold, there was Kreutzberg. At 7:02 a.m. Eastern Time, the Friday of the tournament, Kreutzberg left the following comment. We're in the same boat. I've got stuck in Sao Paulo, Brazil for 2 days due to the weather. Because of that, I lost an airplane to New York. Hopefully, I'm gonna be able to arrive tomorrow at 5 a.m. in Atlanta. Best of luck, man. As there were no direct flights from where he lived, Kreutzberg had to travel to Sao Paulo in Brazil in order to catch a flight up to New York, where he would then have to catch a connecting flight south back down to Atlanta. But as he described, due to some terrible weather, he'd already been stuck in Sao Paulo for 2 full days, with uncertainty still floating around for his next 2 flights. With this news, the community was still hopeful that Kreutzberg would be able to make an appearance. However, exhausted and haggard by the ordeal, there was still a chance he could show up, and that would be way better than nothing, even if he understandably could not perform at his peak. Kreutzberg's bracket had an absolute demon lurking inside of it. Blood Diamond was a US West player sponsored to attend the event, and finally being unburdened by lag himself, proved to be a top-level threat. Kreutz was slated to face Blood Diamond in the finals of their pool should they both make it past the first few rounds. And despite all signs pointing towards a Kreutzberg disqualification, in the 11th hour, when Brawlhalla could stall no longer, he appeared. Pool B1 finally began, with Kreutz as the number 1 seed getting a bye for the first round. Winning his first match, he moved on to fight a skilled player in Arkin, who he was also able to best. And so facing him next was Blood Diamond. And this match would prove to be the next step in the tragedy of Kreutzberg's Worlds experience. This match was supposed to be streamed. Every pool's finals were, after all, from A1 all the way to B6. But as I'm sure you've been able to gather, this one was not. Kreutz would be the only pool's finals to not appear, the only regional qualifier to not be featured on the big stage for his friends at home to see. This was not deliberate. The first Worlds was a manic whirlwind of production, where volunteers with cardboard signs and 2-minute lunch breaks had to organize hundreds of competitors and ensure the broadcast always had a set ready to go. Perhaps because of the uncertainty surrounding Kreutzberg's pool, or a slip in the cracks from TOs torn in a dozen directions at once, Pool B1 would play out in the shadows. And as such, Kreutzberg's performance would remain a mystery in the public eye. It's no surprise that many people still don't know if he even made it to the event. And as we'll find out later, that void of information would give life to unsubstantiated theories and a complete discrediting of South America. The tournament. We know very little about how this match between Kreutzberg and Blood Diamond played out. What we do know is both players gave it their best shot, but Blood Diamond was the one to clutch it out with 2 last stock red games in a row. And this bumped Kreutzberg down into the losers. Bracket, where he'd have to fight Arkin once again. Arkin himself was on a win streak, but Kreutz snuffed it out and squeezed by into top 32. Unfortunately, he would have to wait another 5 hours before playing again, and his first opponent was on fire. Skibuster, a newer talented NA player, had just knocked out Doppy, someone expected to get top 8 or better. Needless to say, Skibuster was an extremely skilled player, and this underdog defeated Kreutzberg 2-1, leaving the South American qualifier with a final placing of 25th at Worlds. It's not a bad placing, but this is Kreutzberg we're talking about. He was expected to be around the same level as Tiger and Kyler Alice, if not better. He was a giant question mark that only grew as his absence became more and more obvious. And when he finally did show up, most people didn't even know. As day 1 of competition came to a close, the South American fans were left completely puzzled. One user wrote, "Me and a lot of other South Americans were waiting to see him play in the stream, but he didn't even appear in the 10-hour stream, even though he was the regional qualifier winner." Agreed, spent half my day watching the stream waiting for Kreutz to play another set, with a reply stating it was the only reason why I tuned in. It wasn't all support though, as Kreutzberg certainly had some detractors. Kreutz was very disappointed. He didn't appear on stream because he lost very earlier than any other regional qualifier. He was the first of them to be eliminated also. It looks like the Brazil server has very weak competition because it sounds by the results and his opponents that he got outclassed badly. To watch Kreutz play, you're gonna have to watch without American or Europeans. Otherwise, it looks like again and won't appear on the stream. To anyone simply looking at the results, I would blame them for holding this opinion. After all, the other qualifiers did perform incredibly, and yes, they lose quite early in comparison. But full story. And for the first time ever, we saw Kreutzberg snap back. After everything he's done to build up his team, after being nothing but kind to everyone he encountered in-game and in the community, he popped off in his own Kreutzberg way and, justifiably so, explained his experience. I don't know what you are talking about. I've got so many delayed flights and landed just a few hours before the start of the tourney. Tired as hell because of the 10 hours of flight, and days without playing, and not that much warm-up. What do you expect? Even in these conditions, I lost both games to Blood Diamond on last stock in Red 2. Also, I had to wait 5 more hours until I could play Ski Buster, which is a good player. Then exhausted by that time, and the results were 2-1 for him. I don't blame you that you couldn't see all of that, but you are very wrong about the skill cap. I played some customs with LDZ, Twilight, and Logic, and we had some close matches. Maybe Kreutzberg, with perfect travel and perfect luck, would still lose the exact same matches that he did. Maybe he was simply outclassed. That could very well be the case. But it's unfortunate that we don't live in the world where that could be proven one way. It sucks that his sparring matches with the 1v1 champion LDZ, the 2v2 champion Starlight, and the top EU player Logic are now lost to the ether. It sucks that he would have to defend himself after a grueling multi-day ordeal just to book it to the venue and
You want to be friends? You want to be friends? I was going to give it to you. I was gonna talk, but you started running at me with a fucking machete.
Okay. Thank you. You can have the
We live close. Do you wanna be?
Yes, friend.
Are you solo or what?
Right now, yes, my friend offline.
Okay. You wanna join our team?
Yeah, sure.
still give it his best to compete right after arriving. And most of all, it sucks that someone this dedicated to Brawlhalla and its community from its earliest moments all the way to its biggest day yet was robbed of his chance to show his worth to the rest of the world for reasons entirely out of his control. Kreutzberg, for no fault of his own, was robbed of his dream. And that is where I thought the story would end, that somber, depressing note. As someone who was there at BCX 2016, I didn't even know Kreutzberg made it to the event after all. I never met him, I never saw him play, and I never realized the unfortunate truth behind his disappearance. But the fact is, Kreutzberg did make it to BCX. It was in the last minutes, but he made it. And while I myself didn't meet him to give you this account, in doing research for this video, I found out that other people certainly did.
I mean, I met Kreutzberg, and he's such a nice guy.
I finally got to meet him on the second day. I think I talked to him and just hung out with him for like over 2 hours. Dude is so nice. He was so excited to like meet everybody, and he didn't really know who everyone was, so he wanted he needed someone to introduce him to people so that he could get some games in. I showed him that bug where when you switch really quickly between the characters, they take other people's poses, and he thought it was the best thing ever. He took pictures, and he was like, I'm gonna show everybody this when I get back. Man, I love Kreutzberg. He is such an awesome dude.
Anyone who's traveled knows just how exhausting a simple flight can be. Now add on a multi-day delay without being able to rest, an utter lack of practice in this brand new land setting, and a set of highly skilled opponents, and even the best of the best can sometimes end up But just because Kreutzberg's tournament run was over, didn't mean his tournament had to be over. He made the most of the opportunity, hanging out with international friends he'd known since the alpha days, grinding out sets with the best of the world, and hopefully basking in the moment for as many hours as he had left. Kreutzberg deserved to be there. He earned his spot fair and square. You can only imagine how bittersweet it must have been to walk those event grounds. The hollow feeling that comes with losing a competition, giving it your all and coming up short, made even emptier by it feeling out of your hands. Kreutz's dream seemed dead that day. There was no hope for him to win Worlds, and being the best in South America, no hope for them to claim the trophy either. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and now it was gone. Kreutzberg slowly phased out from the Brawlhalla scene after BCX, and let's be honest, you can't really blame him. After such a devastating experience, with years of build only to be snuffed out before you even get your chance, you couldn't blame anyone for losing. Losing the passion they once held so close. Looking through Kreutzberg's post history tells us most of what we need to know. While there's no direct answer to why he stopped playing as much, the frequency of his comments and engagement with the community slowly faded away until one day it dwindled completely. Brawlhalla changed a lot in the following year, 2017, with the biggest development being Dash, a movement mechanic that completely revolutionized combat going forward. Kreutz was actually a vocal supporter of this mechanic, saying how he hoped the future would go live before that year's South American Regional Qualifier. Ironically, it was a mechanic that countered the style of play Kreutzberg had become known for, but as shown just a year ago, he had the ability to change up his approach on the fly and adapt to shifting tides as necessary. 2017's South American qualifier actually did feature Dash as he wanted, and it was the first qualifier to do so. Kreutzberg also did enter one of the only 2017 tournaments of his with data I could find. But whether it was his passion slipping, his practice dropping off, the new Dash countering his playstyle, or a myriad of other potential factors, Kreutzberg did not repeat his immaculate performance from 2016 and ended the event at 17th. Not a bad placing, but he was no longer the king. And this is the last tournament I can find in Kreutzberg's entire career. Despite him congratulating Fiend, the eventual winner, and saying he couldn't wait for the next tournaments, I can't find any evidence that he entered anything after this. Attempting to find any kind of tournament profile from his regional qualifier result in 2017 leads to nothing, indicating the only tournament he entered this year was the qualifier. I'm not entirely sure if that's correct, but with such little evidence and previous tournament websites leading to 404 errors, my search was forced to end here. In a way, it would be the most fitting ending there could be for Kreutzberg's story. He hit the highest peak of his career at the regional qualifier, and now, in the twilight of his competing days, entered the same event one last time as a kind of swan song, giving up his title to the next player. For a storybook ending, that's not half bad, but there's still one big piece missing. You see, I mentioned the winner of 2017's regional qualifier, a player named Fiend, who would carry the flames of South America's scene for years to come, even making a decently sized splash at LAN before Brawlhalla shut down live events in 2020. And Kreutzberg, just 4 days after the regional qualifier, made his final submission to the Brawlhalla subreddit, a video titled Brawlhalla Training Session Number 1, Kreutz vs Fiend. The video is now down due to some copyright restrictions, but we could still analyze this moment and its greater significance as a symbolic passing of the torch to the new best in South America, as a moment of reflection, how Kreutzberg had helped build up this entire scene, and now it had finally surpassed him. But we don't even need to do all of that, because Kreutzberg did it for us. A commenter wrote, with all the talk about EU versus NA, I secretly hope Brazil will roll into BCX and dominate. To which Kreutzberg replied, yeah, you know, there's always a certain favoritism, but since our last year, our scene has gotten bigger than ever. I mean, we have more skilled and consistent top players right now, but we don't play as much as NA plays with EU and vice versa. That may be an issue for Brazilian players. Let's hope for the best. Kreutzberg didn't win Worlds in 2016. By the time 2017 rolled around, he had already departed from the community and left his scene in the hands of the new generation of pros. So I can't help but wonder if he knows what happened next. How, in an unprecedented explosion of skill, effort, and talent, South America dominated the 2023 World Championships, claiming both first and second place. How at 2024 Worlds they went back-to-back, rolling into BCX and dominating. I wonder if Kreutzberg knows how the seeds he planted nearly a decade prior by investing in his region and cultivating the growth of younger, passionate players would result in South America becoming the strongest Brawlhalla region in the world. Kreutzberg's story is one of tragedy, of wanting something so desperately and falling just short of reaching it, of never getting that chance again and slowly fading away from the very thing that gave you such hope. But perhaps he can look back at his 2016 experience more fondly now, with time healing the wounds as we all hope it does for our own. Perhaps he can see it for what it was more clearly, a once-in-a-lifetime memory that he earned fully on his own merit. It's easy to look at playing video games and talking to online friends as vapid and fruitless, and by the same token, stupid to care so deeply about results in a video game tournament. But this is our lives. This matters to us, and it mattered to him. It's something he was willing to put everything into, which not everyone in their lifetime can find, and find success in doing so. That's something truly special. So perhaps Kreutzberg's climactic collapse after years of preparation does not have to define his entire story. Why should it have to end in tragedy too? Because through the beginning, the peak, and the darkest depths of his career, one thing proved unwavering. One thing so pure it continued to live on past his own departure from the game. How could we say this story has a sad ending when Kreutzberg's dream came true? Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Kreutzberg was one of the best players in the early days of Brawlhalla, but despite conquering his entire region and qualifying for the World Championships in 2016, he was mysteriously missing from the event, and not soon after, completely disappeared from the scene as a whole. What happened to Kreutzberg? Why did he disappear from Worlds, and why, just 1 year later, did he not even crack the top 8 of the next qualifier? This is the puzzling story of the Brawlhalla Pro who vanished. To understand the impact of Kreutzberg's absence, we first have to understand how talented of a player he was. Who was Kreutzberg exactly? What did Kreutzberg was one of the best players
Well, guys, today we're going to be playing on Happus. I haven't played on this map in a while, but we're just going to be doing a solo run because why not, you know? Fat fight going on right now. I want a piece of that. Yikes, what is this? I would take this over, but every single wall is backwards. That guy's an AK? Ooh, fucking yikes. Holy shit! Those guys are about to get fucking destroyed! They literally got fucked. They're all dead. 3 L9s just rolled up on this fight, dude. They're just dead. There's nothing you can do. Yeah, there's no way anyone's making a play on them. Oh, shit. Is that a pump? He might actually fuck him up here. Oh, he's so gonna get him. No, he's trash. That guy's a bot. Dip. Minicopter. Is that fuel? I'm out. Adios, amigos. Later, bitches. What the fuck? I'm going to the other side of the map. I'm going here. I don't even go a fuck. I'm getting out of here. L96, 2 AKs, MP5 SAR. Bro, this is fucking nuts. Gotta gain some altitude. Come on, she can make it. She can make it. So many bases like everywhere. This sucks. Plus, I need a rock. Okay, I'm gonna stash a few things for sure here. I'm gonna need to stash like my entire inventory. That'll actually come in handy. I want to build by Site A. I know that's a good place to build. Played on Happus before, and the sites are usually loaded with stuff. Good for PvP as well. Okay, I don't know where the nodes are at. I think they're down by the beach somewhere. Yikes. Shit hurts, man. And there's a motherfucker outside. Can't see it. Might have been a good idea to stay over there. I haven't heard a single gunshot over here yet. Whatever, it can't hurt to look around. This is actually like an insane start so far. Alright, we can go check out Site A, try and get some components there, and also try and find some stone. There's a base at every corner of this damn map. How is this even a monument? This is nuts. Look, there is a Samstead up there, dude. Monka W. I was like flying right over that thing too. That thing could have just ended my whole snowball. Some stone here, get that. I think that's a scientist. Okay, not bad. Okay, get me out of this pink bullshit. I don't care if I don't have any skins on this account, dude. Woo, baby. Okay, some action. I'm down, I'm down. Just have to recycle first. I don't have any space. Oh my goodness, dude. I didn't have my hand on my fucking keyboard. What the? Oh wow, that could have fucking killed me. Poner Puerta de Metal. Alright, let's go find that SAR guy I heard. Flew to the area on the map where all the fucking nakeds are. I thought because it's next to large rig that there would be hella people. But boy was I mistaken. Soon things would change drastically. Okay, I'll roam around here for like another 20-30 minutes, and if I don't find any good PvP, I'll fly back to where the action is. Oh fuck. Well, I brought this stuff out to go research it, but it sounds like there's a man over here. What is that? Do they live there? They probably do, dude. Oh my goodness. What am I doing, dude? Yeah, I killed them both, but man, I just wasted 2 high walls like an idiot. GG. Alright, that fight just proved to me that there is action to be had over here. Like a reasonable amount that would keep me playing. Let's start getting some upgrades going. What was that lag?
Братан, русский? Не убивай, не убивай, я бомж, бомж. Братан, русский?
No.
Бро. А ты где живешь?
No ammo.
Ну, амма. Окей, man. Man, where you live? Okay, man.
I just got so much profit. What the fuck? 2 more AKs. Well, 1 AK and an LR I just got from that. Come on. Oh. I did not kill that guy somehow. Dude, damn. This is definitely a good area, dude. It's like just enough competition where it's really tough, but like I can still beat it, you know. We made it back, boys, again. Oh, wow. Oh, I need this. Thank God. This might get me to enough scrap to make a level 2, and then I'll be set. They're fighting again. Break the fucking workbench, let's go!
fucking rot, you fucking nigger piece of shit. Fuck your mom every day. Your mom is bad.
my base? The whore? Bye. Bye, game. Bye. Are you kidding me? Why did my game crash? What is that? You cannot be serious right now. My task manager won't open. Okay, guys, well, after restarting my entire computer, which I had to forcefully restart because it just didn't work for some reason, Rust seems to be opening. Yep, I'm dead. Base is gone. Let's go, guys. Let's fucking go. Fucking hell. So messed up. So messed up. Wow, man. I can't believe it, you guys. There's hope, there's hope. There's actually hope. They didn't place their own tool cupboard after breaking mine. This meant I only had 10 minutes. Guys. There's hope, there's hope. There's actually hope. They didn't place their own tool cupboard after breaking mine. This meant I only had 10 minutes before I could demolish what they placed. I think I need a TC as well. They left stuff. They left so much! They must have left this loot because they couldn't bait my turret and didn't want to bother trying. This clan did this raid with little care. All they care about is domination. And when someone like me messes with their agenda, they eliminate it. Guys, the dream is still alive. It's still alive. It's not even close to what I had before, but it's enough. I need tool cupboard, this, that. This guy might have a lot of wood. He does. We got it back, boys. We're back in business, baby. So after getting my base back, I needed to step back for a moment. I needed to understand why these guys raided me. I must have caused them some sort of misfortune. So the first thing I did was I figured out who raided me. And I'm not sure if you caught that, but as I loaded back in, I was killed by someone named SX Heartache. I don't recognize the name at all, so I looked back in my footage. The first people I would expect to raid me would be the people I fought at Site A. However, I looked at every single body, and not one of them had this name. So I kept looking, until finally I found the two minor incidents where I engaged with them. The first was when I killed this MP5 kid. He didn't have much, he was just solo with an MP5. And the second time was when I killed the guy that killed them, and I ended up with all of the loot.
Okay, guys. Hello. Raiders.
Hello.
I can let you leave. I can leave you alone. But can I please just have my base back?
Пошел в пизду, ублюдок!
Please, my base back.
Закрой свою грязную пасть, мраза.
My base back. Please.
Back. Back.
Understand?
Нах, пошел, ублюдок, бля. Нах, пошел.
So now I understand the reasoning behind their raid. However, their reasoning was kind of weak. You saw their gear, they were wearing full metal AKs and LR, so they didn't need my loot. What they wanted to do was get rid of a threat, and that threat was me. And I wasn't gonna let them get away with it that easily. So I decided to go on a roam and try and make back some gear sets. So that way I can mess with them for the rest of the wipe, and make them regret raiding me.
fucking rat. Kill yourself, nigger.
See a dude. Probably lives right here though. Yeah. Oh, they're full kit. This is a trap and a half if I were to see. Let's see it. See a dude. Probably lives right here though. Yeah. Well, they're full kit. This is a trap and a half if I were to see one. Let's see about that. Oh my goodness, there's so many of them.
Take this. When I open up the store, you're gonna run into as many as you can.
Oh shit. fuck are you guys doing out there? Help me. Can you raid this one that I'm in right now, please? Because I'm kind of trapped. Yo, real quick, do you guys know where, like, XS lives?
Yeah, we're outside, buddy. Come outside, you idiot.
Is that really you guys? Where do you live, XS? I fucking dare you to tell me. I dare you. Well, I found XS, guys. And they were a lot more immature than expected. But that's okay. The more toxic they are, the better their revenge will feel. So let's see how this plays out. Oh, I thought I killed him. And how the fuck did he just get in? What's going on, dude? I'm gonna go find where these guys fucking live. It's the last thing I do. Dude, these guys are fucking bitches though, dude. They literally just raid every fucking base. They're those type of guys. These guys are literally ass cheek at raiding too. Look, that's my L96. Fuck these guys. Bro, if they live here, that would be gold. Oh, wait. What is in this anyway? Buckshot. Ooh, hog. They were in the middle of a fight, and one of them was alone on the roof. This was my chance. I'm dead. Wait up, bitch. Would you look at that? SX.
Can you give me some?
It's Walters and it's the kid. It's my friend's kid.
Ditto coming, Ditto
Yeah, I
coming.
lost so much here.
A naked here. But naked, got gun.
I'm dead. Hello? No way. No way.
Come on, what a pussy. What a bitch. All I had left was a SAR with one clip. This was my last chance, and I had to make it work. These guys robbed me of like 10 gear sets, and they're going out with hazmat. That's the fun. turret there. What the fuck? Holy shit. Holy. What the fuck? I got it! Boys, I got it! Boys! Okay. Okay. We need some time to understand what's going on here.
No. Please outside. What do you mean? This is my base. No. Do you want to live with me? Are you sure? Yes. If you want, you can. Yeah, I'm friendly.
Pick me up. These guys raided us?
I can't, they raided us. I can't get in.
Wait, they raided?
Yeah, they raided us. Yeah.
Alright, you can stay in here. Wait, I didn't even notice I wasn't home. I haven't been home in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know who it is, but... Oh well. Let me get in the airlock so I don't die.
After a while, things quieted down, and I was able to move all of the loot. And what better people would it have been to steal a raid from than XS themselves? The people who raided me, a humble solo. They took my stuff, and I took theirs. I call that even. So after building a base away from the danger and moving all of the goodies over there, I was satisfied with this snowball. And so I logged off with a smile on my face. If you're watching this video the day it was uploaded, I'm currently live streaming 2016 Rust BPs. It's basically Rust, but just in the old Blueprint days. So if you want to learn how to play that, or if you just want to watch me play, please go check out my Twitch in the description. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.
Skin the color of bark, clothes smelling like
What's up guys, so today's video pop monthly server on This is the vibe, and we hit a really insane snowball that leads to a raid defense. And sorry for a very late upload because this forcep was very hard to get content for me, I don't know why. This FPS, it's very hard not to cope. This guy's fucking achy, bro. I'm just gonna heal up, I have 100 cloth, bro. I'm just gonna heal up, I've never been high or drunk, bro. I've never been higher, 100 cloth. I'm just gonna heal up, I have 100 cloth, bro. I'm just gonna heal up, I've never been high or drunk, bro. This guy just almost killed me, bro. Crap. Do I actually have to hit some barrels right now or something? Isn't that just perfect, bro? Like, isn't that just perfect? Hmm? Like, isn't that... Isn't that just perfect, bro? Like, isn't that just perfect? Hmm? Like, you just love to see it, right? Now a little bit, I wasn't reading everything. 40% off. 80 pumpkins. Am I buying that? Oh, look. I can buy 3k stone. Yeah. Are you fucking kidding me? There's Emil restaurant. Yeah, I'm pretty decent. Why are so many people asking me if I'm good at Fortnite? Is it like a new meme or something? I'm pro. All the games I've ever played in my life, I've played in a huge... There's no way this kids are related. What? Where's... We're okay. fuck is happening in my area? Bro, I just let some naked get it, nice. Bro. What? Bro! I'm rage transferring my base. Come on, boys. That's how you fucking do it, bro. That's how we fucking do it. Let's go. Let's fucking go. After dying with the AK, I had no more bullets, so I had to go and do an outpost run to try and get some bullets. Bro, that's so bricked, man. At least I have pumpkins. Bombs. And then me and John just pulled up and killed you. And John, you're the best player I've ever played wrestling with. I need you, man. And I like you, bro. Usually I have my new PC wrestling. But I'm